The Big Show starts now.
You bet it does. Welcome into Friday's edition of The Big Show on your total sports station, KTGR. It's Andy Humphrey and Brendan Schaefer here, sending you into the weekend, into Valentine's weekend. Fellas, hope you have plans for that. If you have a significant other.
Yeah, the plans are Texas v. Missouri, 7:30 p.m.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Yeah, I didn't mean like it needed to be something like that. I mean, that's obviously what I was referring to.
Okay, good. It was just the way you said it. I wasn't sure what you were getting at. Now I know we're on the same page. So,
what could be more romantic than that?
I can't think of anything.
I really don't know. Mizzou obviously hopes that it is a very fun night for them. We'll see if they can get to 8-4 in conference play, Brendan.
Yeah, that's not something I thought we'd be saying.
Boy, oh boy, they were
back in December, but here we are, man.
They were at one point
chance.
3-3 was when they were, and then now 4 of their last 5 games they have won. So we'll see if they can keep that going, make it 5 of 6. Will tell us, or you tell us who you got. For Texas and Mizzou hoops tomorrow, sold out Mizzou Arena, 875 KTGR. We'll get our predictions here in a few minutes. College hoops talk with Rob Veno of wagertalk.com for sports from a Vegas perspective. So we get really deep in the weeds in college hoops now without the football. That's out of the way. We'll also discuss the Big Ten's 24-team college football playoff proposal that got leaked today. I would have to imagine the Big Ten probably was okay with it being leaked, right? If it got out at all.
Yeah. They're always trying to meddle and be in charge of things. So
how do we feel about it?
Had something to do with it.
How do we feel about the 2014 model that they are proposing? It would eliminate conference championship weekend. The conference championship games would be gone if that were to come to fruition. We'll discuss it at 5:05. Tell us what you think about the world of sports today, 875-5847 here on The Big Show. You can tweet us at KTGR Big Show. See us, watch the show right now on YouTube, youtube.com/@KTGR Sports. You can also see us live on Facebook, facebook.com/KTGR Big Show.
Now, The Big Show's Big Deal.
And Mizzou is a slight favorite. About 1.5 is where it might end up being as Mizzou tips off against Texas tomorrow at Mizzou Arena. It's a sellout. They announced that earlier in the week, I believe on Wednesday morning. So Mizzou fans ready to see a team that is facing off against another bubble team in their conference, both of them included in Joe Lunardi's last 4 teams in his latest bracketology projections. Mizzou, of course, is tied for 4th place in the SEC standings. If they win, they can get to 8-4 and really start to think about whether they can grab a double bye for the SEC tournament. Texas, meanwhile, well, they're not too far off, but right now 6-5 in SEC play. They've actually won 3 straight games themselves. That is The Big Show's Big Deal on this 13th day of February 2026. Give us a call or text at 573-875-KTGR if you want to weigh in on what, Brendan, you're calling the biggest game of the year.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yep.
I mean, look, the 8-4 opportunity is obviously a big one to kind of vault yourself into a different tier of where we are viewing the conference standings, and the teams you'd be rubbing shoulders with changes a little bit. I think the fact that Texas is on the bubble, they're one of the last 4 teams in. You are currently Lunardi's last team in to the NCAA tournament field, according to the most prominent bracketologists. So that in and of itself, I've said, if you're going up against Texas for a spot, maybe in Dayton, if it comes down to it, you'd love to have that one under your belt. And then I just think of the games remaining, it's one of the games that is winnable. You're favored in it, narrowly so, but it's still an impressive win if you can secure it. Whereas I think some of these other games coming up, like Vanderbilt at home, Tennessee at home, either Arkansas game, I'm not sure you're going to be favored in any of those. And so it's kind of the Texas game it's not a bad loss if you lose it, but it feels like on paper one of those that you're going to want to scoop up just in case things get a little tougher down the road. You want to build that cushion as much as possible against a team that's vying in a very similar territory as you for what that NCAA tournament real estate could mean.
That is, it's a ceiling raiser once again, because Texas A&M, that win brought you to the point where if you can beat the door down and win this game, Brendan, we're not talking about Dayton. We're talking about like, can you get to a seed line that is maybe favorable to you if you start to get more on a run here? Now, look, those games are coming up, and that's why, like, winning this game feels like you can start to count your chickens, but you honestly can't, because you do have some tough opponents coming. And it's set up still, like, schedule-wise, for Mizzou to have a tough finish similar to what they had last year, and certainly if they don't play their best. But what this could do is provide that margin for error, because I think at this point, I know Mizzou fans, largely speaking, big picture, they don't just want to get into the NCAA tournament. Like, I know you want to do things when you get there. That's obviously the goal. But this team was not in the conversation in early January. Like January 1, no one was talking about them in this sense. And now you can, I think, be in the last four bye territory if you win it, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that this win alone is going to vault them into that, but I think it could be close. And look, Lenardi does a great job, but what if he's a little too low on Mizzou so far? Obviously, if he's a little too high on them, then that changes it in the other direction. But there's certainly some margin for error there. And again, I just think a week like this, we said this before the A&M game, you go 2-0, suddenly you're 8-4. It's like people are going to wake up to Mizzou in a way that they weren't really paying attention to you before. I think that's the biggest key of it all.
Well, and it might even be Lenardi. Like he saw, like, okay, you went to A&M and won. That's solid.
Yeah, it's solid. Slowly happening.
I'll move you up a little bit, but like, even though winning against Texas as a favorite would be a game that you're more expected to get, it doesn't mean that it would only move you up one spot, right? Like, it could be multiple. And again, things around Mizzou could have teams above them, other than Texas, could also lose. And so you're talking about just the way that you continue to build this momentum. Like, you see big picture after this Texas win, Mizzou's 18-7 and 8-4 in what is still top to bottom the toughest league in college basketball. Like, if you take a step back and you look at all of it, it'll be hard to say, well, I don't know if we should just keep them on the bubble. Maybe we should move them a little bit higher than that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think 8-4 would then mean they'll forever remain off the bubble just because of how difficult the remaining games are. But I do feel like you're opening up the possibility that you just kind of stay right where you are. Like, if you're 8-4 and then you can, what would that be? You'd have 6 games remaining. You split them to go 11-7. Now you are in that different category. Regardless of how bad the non-conference was, and it wasn't great, I think 11-7, you are safely in the field. Even with an opening loss in Nashville, I think you're talking about Mizzou making the tournament and maybe not even having to deal with Dayton at that point. And because if you were to rank the remaining games, maybe you would say the road game at Mississippi State is a more winnable one than this. It's a road game still, though, right? Yeah. And Josh Hubbard's still on that team. Maybe you would say the road game at Oklahoma more winnable than this. I'm not so sure. After the way Oklahoma handled Vanderbilt, you're aware of their ability to beat some of these good teams, and Mizzou needed 2 buzzer beaters to beat OU when it was in Mizzou. So those 2 would maybe be debatable as to whether or not they're more quote-unquote winnable than this one. And the other 4, I think, are all going to be more difficult than this one. Not to take anything away from Texas, but just to credit the teams that you're going to be facing down the stretch. Those are ranked teams. Those are teams that have a higher profile than Texas does right now. So of the remaining games, this is one of the more gettable ones that, you want to make sure to grab. And if you do, and then you find a way to, over an impressive schedule, the last 6, or, continue on that path and at least tread water, that's going to be enough to keep your wherever you land in the mind of the public after this game, that's kind of where you can stay as long as you don't, fall off the face of the earth.
Yeah, you can't have an absolute face plant. Last year, Mizzou had the face plant, and they had built up more than enough goodwill to be like, yeah, you're still a tournament team. Like, they were flirting with 4-seed territory after the Alabama win, and yeah, they dropped and fell to a 6. But here, like, you can create the margin for error that you could then maybe slide down to the point where, okay, you're right on the line. You're probably in Dayton. But get to 8 right now. And honestly, the way that this team is playing, translated a few more times, I don't see how they don't get to at least 10. Like that's the thing. Like we can debate about where the next 2 will be, but I don't see how they don't get to 10 after they get this one.
Yeah. Careful with that. But I think
old take, expose me if you want, but I think if they take care of business in this one, there is at least a path to carve out that is not all that treacherous to get to 10.
I agree. And look, Mississippi State, win at Mississippi State, please. That would be 9.
Yeah.
And then you just have to win one of the other ones. And even if you're underdogs by 3 or 4 points in all of them, odds are you're going to be able to pick up one of them. And I'm not even guaranteeing that, you would be an underdog in every single one of those games. So, yeah, this just really makes it more attainable, and in the way you can see the path unfold before you. We're kind of caught in this middle. It's like that tug of rope. On the one side, you're holding on to, we're tied for 4th, double bye. We could be one of the premium teams in this league. And on the other side, you're not escaping that bubble watch just yet.
Yeah.
This feels like the game that could get you one step closer to doing that. And Texas, I think when they play at their best, they're really tough. But we've also seen plenty of games from them where they, where they can be susceptible as well. And it shouldn't matter what kind of Texas you're getting. You're going to have to be ready. They are on a 3-game winning streak themselves. So that's something to pay attention to. But I mean, this is that game you want when you're against those teams that are in the same range as you. You got to take care of business in them. They did it once this week to kind of claim, yeah, we are in Texas A&M's range, even if people didn't think so before. Now is really where you can assert yourself. And we're favored by 1.5. What's the KenPom score prediction, if there is one?
It's a 1-point win for Texas for that. Yeah. But again, right on the line, it's 49% Mizzou, 51% Texas. At some point, like, they kind of have to pick a side because a lot of time you can't go straight to 50-50. I know I've seen that before too, but like, they can't say it's going to be a tie, so they got to pick one or the other.
What do we make of? I was really impressed by the win against Texas A&M.
Yeah,
Missouri kind of stayed similar to where they were in KenPom. They're 52nd. Texas is 33rd. And when you look at the profiles of the two teams, what stands out is Texas offensively is really a team that can put the ball in the basket. They're 10th in the country in adjusted offensive rating. So their offensive efficiency is 10th in the nation. I mean, Mizzou's been playing some pretty solid defense, I feel. Maybe that's where you get susceptible to Texas, but.
And the thing is, what's impressive about it is that they don't necessarily play fast. Like, they are kind of a slower tempo team. Here's how they do it. They get to the free throw line a ton. 3rd in the nation in free throw attempts to field goal attempts in that ratio. And they also create a lot of extra possessions. Very good offensive rebounding team. Mizzou has been good at rebounding recently. They need to be good again. Needs to translate once again against this team, or else they'll be susceptible to a lot of those second chance points. We have seen Mizzou, if in conference play, kind of revert back to that at times, let up double-digit offensive rebounds or something like 15 to 16. And you can't live there. You got to keep that at a reasonable level against a team that's really good at it, because they want to get to it. Sometimes their best offense is a missed shot, and then they can get right into some of their actions from that. So got to crash the glass on the defensive end, because you can force misses. They're not going to completely hurt you from downtown a lot of the time. Force those misses, but they're going to be long misses, and everybody, all 5 Tigers on the floor, have to be ready to box out.
It's you. It's your job. It's not somebody else that's going to do it, and be strong to the basketball. Is there a concern? I mean, we've talked about this. It's a feature, not a bug so far, that they're going with the 7-man rotation and trimming things down. Is this the game, though, that we see maybe that become a little bit of an impediment just because of the tired legs factor maybe creeping in? You had the full week off before we really saw them run that way against South Carolina. All right, that rested you up a bit. You had a midweek against A&M. Now you're traveling home. You got the Saturday night game. Are we worried yet that this comes into play, or are we just kind of crossing our fingers going, the 7-man rotation has been gold for them since they've really kind of committed to it, and we just have to hope that they hold up?
I think you got to hold on for as long as possible with the status quo. Not saying there won't come a time where one of your guards picks up 2 early fouls, or actually not one, game. 2 of them pick up 2 early fouls.
Right.
And then you got to think about, well, does Sebastian Mack need to play some, right?
Welcome to the lineup, Sebastian.
Yeah, like it's by necessity, whoever's available, whoever you want to preserve, because maybe they're on the bench because they picked up an extra one. Like that's going to be the key. Like Dennis Gates has done it with Trent Burns, I think with Sean Phillips, because of fouls here and there. That's going to be a key one. Like Sean Phillips needs to stay on the floor. There have been moments where he has gotten a little bit frustrated, and then 5 seconds later, he's picking up a cheap one that he doesn't need to give. And like that cannot happen in this game. You've got to have him on the floor because he's your best rebounder, and you're facing a very good rebounding team. And yeah, like he's an important part of that rotation, and not having him on the floor probably means a little bit of Trent Burns. And look, he can be fine sometimes, but it's a complete spin of the wheel.
Yeah, and with anybody else that you'd plug into the rotation as well, if you get into foul trouble, you get concerned about, well, they're not really fresh. They haven't been involved in game action recently, and so what version of these players do you end up getting? That's a little bit of a concern. It's just because it's an unknown. And the Texas team that you mentioned gets to the line a lot. If they are being aggressive, I think about guys like Anthony Robinson, who's more of an ancillary piece to this right now, but you need his 20 to 24 minutes. I mean, you're going to need him to be out there and playing his game, producing to his ability. So yeah, those are some things that I'm certainly thinking about. I don't know if concern level is the right word, but yeah, it's something that you're certainly mindful of the ways that this could maybe go off the rails if it happens that way.
The main guy to watch for that, number 8 for them, gonna butcher his name, Mattis Vocatatus.
Sure.
Number 3 in the nation among all college basketball players at drawing fouls per 40 minutes, and number 1 in the nation in free throw rate.
Well, I don't like him already.
I mean,
that's a problematic player to go against.
He's the guy that's seeking the contact, right?
Yep.
And he usually gets it, and he usually sends him to the line. So watch out for him.
Yeah, and don't, you're going to foul him, and he's going to get to the line, but don't get frustrated by it, and don't give him anything cheap. Make sure if you're fouling somebody, you're doing it with a purpose, and you're not the one kind of with your hand caught in the cookie jar. Don't let them set the pace or the tempo of the proceedings in that way.
All right.
I don't want to.
Who
I don't want to.
Who you got?
I don't want
Mizzou,
to. This feels like this will be my least confident Mizzou prediction, but there's no way I can watch the way they played on Wednesday and be like, no, they're not going to win as a, home slight favorite, coin flip game, sold out crowd Saturday night. There's no way I'm picking against them. But like there's some concern. This would be a game where I don't see them winning it big. 8 or 9's probably as big as I could see. If they really fell flat, you could lose it bigger than that. If you just run out of steam when it comes to that 7-man rotation, or you get into foul trouble and you're forced to have to dig a little bit deeper, and the digging doesn't come up as a fruitful endeavor. So I'm going to give you all the caveats and all the ways in which it could go wrong, because I said at the beginning of conference play really that this team wasn't going to have the ability to hurt me. I wasn't going to give them that. I wasn't going to give them that power over me. that went out the window on Wednesday night. So I'm on the emotional roller coaster now, and I'm gonna ride it with glee and say Missouri 77, Texas 74. And nothing comes easy in this one possession win.
Trent Pierce goes for 24 points.
Okay. Now we're just playing fantasy now. We're just like, what sounds like it would be amazing if it would happen, and let's try to will it into existence.
Theo Barrett, 16.
Yep.
Mark Mitchell, 16.
You're just coming up with numbers, but I like them. I like every number you said.
Mizzou wins 78-70.
All right. Man, that would be good. Look, Texas, 3-game winning streak, as I mentioned. They've had some close losses on the road. Teams like Kentucky, I think, beat them by 5. So they will be a handful. But man, I can't wait to watch Theo Barrett play tomorrow night. I think I'm not gonna go in depth with like the point totals and the box score like you did, but I'm gonna say I think Theo Barrett has a really good game.
Oh, he'll need to if they're gonna win, because you're right. It's probably him that stirs the drink now. And all of us thought it needs to be Anthony Robinson. He's got to get better. Well, Theo Barrett has taken that on, and now it's him. Now it's him. So we'll see if Mizzou can get it done tomorrow. 875 KTGR. Call or text us with your score predictions. James says, I think they beat Texas tomorrow. Heck, I think they beat Vandy Wednesday.
Now, if they beat Texas, I'm not. No one's stopping this train if they can just handle this game. The Vandy game's going to be a lot of fun too. But let's get to that game by looking the same, against Texas as you did in College Station.
Yeah,
keep this rolling. It's going to be fun if they can keep this rolling, man.
We'll see if they can keep it rolling. Again, coverage starts at 7:00 tomorrow right here on KTGR. It didn't go as well for Mizzou women's hoops last night. That was.
Speaking of trying to will things into existence, we wanted it to
really
be that
did.
Way.
It was
Tennessee's no slouch.
It was over by the first quarter, man.
Yeah.
98-53.
Yeah.
Mizzou. Grace Slaughter looked great. 20 points for her. The team shot 30% and turned it over 21 times. That's not a great recipe.
Yeah. Look.
Yeah.
They're making strides, Andy, but there's still a gap when you talk about the tippy top of the SEC, which I think Tennessee, it's not like the tippy top is 1 or 2 teams. It's like 6 or 8 teams that are really, really good on a national level, and Tennessee's one of them. And bridging that gap, I do think is going to take a little bit more time. But again, strides are being made, and there's still opportunities to pick up some wins down the stretch that you will be able to hang your hat on going into the offseason. But that was, they were up against it last night.
Yeah.
It's just what it was.
Need Jordana Reisma back as soon as possible
that too.
To get, may have a chance at one of those that's coming up, because they're LSU, South Carolina.
Oh, for sure. There's there could be more on the horizon like that one against competition that's frankly maybe even a little bit stouter than Tennessee. It was very good. When you are in year one of a build like this and you're without one of your key players for a stretch, that doesn't make it any easier in these types of environments.
Next one from Mizzou women's hoops, home against Auburn. They get the weekend off, so next game will be Thursday night at home for Mizzou women's basketball. Call or text us at 875-KTGR. Your thoughts on that and Mizzou men's hoops tomorrow. We'll talk more college hoops with Rob Veno of WagerTalk.com. Sports from a Vegas perspective next.
The Big Show with Andy and Brendan continues next on your total sports station, KTGR.
Okay, the limb is hanging over the driveway. I need this pruned.
Oh, call the electrician.
An electrician?
Yeah, or maybe your HVAC guy.
You've officially lost it. I need an expert in the right field.
Fine. Call that lawn company. They mow and prune.
Yeah, they also scalped your yard last summer.
When it comes to trees, trust the experts who actually know trees. Ones that are trained and educated for pruning, planting, and removals done right. Call Eric at Advanced Tree Solutions, your tree's best friend. AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com.
Michael Agnew here with API Project Fitness. I understand that life is hard, and if you're soft, it will squish you. You must find a way to be hard. Armor yourself up mentally and physically and emotionally. Our goal is to help you find your inner strength and hardness. The difference between strength and weakness is choice. With our group fitness classes and personal training and open gym, the choice is yours. Choose strength. Find us at apiprojectfitness.com or call us at 573-268-6944 to make an appointment.
You know your favorites. Now it's time to put them on the map. Nominations are open for Inside Columbia Magazine's Best of Columbia 2026. Now through March 1st. Nominate the businesses and places you love, including Best Pizza, Best Bar, Best Chiropractor, Best Insurance Agent, and Best Home Repair and Remodeling. You can nominate once per day. So come back and support the businesses you love most. Best of Columbia 2026 starts with you. Nominate today at InsideColumbia.net.
With Steve, all I have to do is call. I tell him the problem, he takes care of it. That's the way I like it. A good player that can put it in the basket.
This is Coach Norm Stewart, so you should probably listen to what he has to say about Steve's pest control.
Yeah, during my tenure as a coach, I had a lot of ball players that weren't highly recruited, and that's not to take anything away from their talent, because when they got to Missouri, they became the best. They became the best because they worked at it every day. That's what you'll find with Steve. He works at it continuously. That's what Steve does. He's going to give you his best all the time. He'll take care of the bugs, believe me. He does for me in Columbia, and he does for me at the lake.
This is Steve with Steve's Pest Control. We're going to solve your pest problems. I guarantee it.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
Honey, he says we're in legal trouble and we're going to lose our retirement. We have to get to a crypto ATM now.
This can't be right.
It's not right. I'm Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. We've received reports of devastating new scams involving crypto ATMs.
Let's report this.
We're here to help. Report suspected fraud at 800-392-8222 or visit ago.mo.gov.
Sponsored by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
Hey, y'all, it's Molly from Billiards. What happens when two pharmacists, a restaurant dude, and a math whiz walk into a bar? They buy it, and those four awesome people are the new owners of Billiards. Like a good Oscar speech, we don't have enough time to thank everybody. But if you've been part of our journey, we just want to say thanks for boogieing on down.
Boogie on down for burgers and beer. Billiards on Broadway. Yeah.
Les, honey, I'm coming home.
Back to more of the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. You've got The Big Show on the KTGR app.
So another loaded college hoops slate starts tonight, and we'll see how Mizzou men's basketball does tomorrow at home against Texas in a sold-out Mizzou Arena. 573-875-KTGR if you want to join us. Andy and Brendan here. And also here, Rob Veno of WagerTalk.com for sports from a Vegas perspective. You can find him on Twitter at Rob Veno Sports and go to WagerTalk.com to see all of his great work. And with college basketball season, Robbie, it's already been fast and furious, but now you get to focus in on it with no football. That's kind of nice.
It's crazy, guys, that conference tournament season is like 17 days away. The smaller conferences will be opened up. And it's just absolutely nuts that you just conclude the Super Bowl. And for folks who haven't been abreast of what's going on in college basketball, it's hard to catch up nowadays, right? By the time you catch up, it's tournament time. So got some interesting things going on here. In all the conferences. Tonight's kind of a light night. Friday night belongs to the low and mid majors, but Saturday's certainly going to belong to the big boys. And I don't know, about 150 other schools that'll be playing tomorrow.
Hard to keep up, at least from our end. We usually just try our best to focus on Mizzou and keep up with that. Looking a little bit better recently. That went over Texas A&M, maybe changing a few minds. It didn't necessarily change the KenPom rating, but I know they did move up in the net and some other metrics and things like that. When you now evaluate Mizzou and against a team like Texas, that most of those spots like them a little bit better, but with Mizzou at home and playing the way that they have, how do you kind of see this matchup this weekend?
Yeah, it's tough because it's the SEC, right? Every game is its own entity, just about. Texas has been playing better. I know the biggest thing that Sean Miller has complained about all season long for his team is committing too many fouls. So Missouri, they've got some weaponry to take advantage of the foul line here if, in fact, it turns into that type of game. I should go back and just say, the win over Texas A&M, a little bit unexpected in College Station. What a great performance. Get down, come back, take the lead, nip and tuck the whole way, and come out on top in the end. I happened to that evening have Texas A&M's team total over, with both team totals got there. The full game total was absolutely, I would say 15, 17 points over the closing numbers. So good job by Mizzou. Can you come back with that same type of offensive performance? Probably needed against Texas, the second most efficient offense in the SEC this year. Little lackadaisical on the defensive end. And again, I guess a lot of that to do with being in the big conference with so many good teams. Like I say, every game's a mind trap. I'm trying to look as I talk, guys. If you have it in front of you, the line for tomorrow's game.
We're seeing 1.5. Tigers are a slight home favorite.
Is that what you got? Okay.
Yeah.
When I do the show for Wager Talk on Saturday, folks come into the chat room wanting to talk about a certain game, and now we just request, give us the rotation number on the game so we can find it as we scroll down this odd screen, because might be here a day and a half looking for it. Yeah, I've got it right now, guys. 1.5 and 52.5, 53 for the total. It's a big game for both sides. No question about it, as everybody jockeys for seeding inside that SEC tournament. We know how that goes. But I would give Mizzou, I'd give them a pretty decent chance. This price tag is tough. The fact that they're favored, you're asking them to win. I don't know. I'll look into it a little bit more, but I think Texas is going to be a difficult opponent tomorrow, especially off of the winning College Station. And I will say this about Missouri real quick, guys. That game at A&M the other night, I had equated it to the game when they went to Coleman Coliseum to play Alabama. I think the prior game, Mark Mitchell had chucked in that 3 in overtime at the buzzer to win, and then they went to Coleman and played Alabama off a loss, and Alabama crushed them. Mizzou kind of the same thing. They went into College Station, back-to-back wins, and A&M was off a loss. And I thought, man, A&M's probably going to get them here, but they didn't. So credit to Missouri and what they have going on right now under Dennis Gates.
Yeah, we were, very pleasantly surprised with the A&M outcome as a 6.5 point underdog as it was. One thing that we're looking to as well, and I can hear it in your voice, there's some concern about this one. I gave a Mizzou winning prediction because the way they played Wednesday was so great that I couldn't do anything else for this one, Rob. But one thing I am concerned about, and I'm curious when you handicap games, if this is something that you pay attention to or how much you might. They've kind of been running a 7-man rotation the last couple of games. They've trimmed things down, and they did so off of a week of rest before the South Carolina win where they looked great on the road. And then you kind of now get back into the midweek swing. Do you wonder if after a number of games where you don't have that week to kind of rest your legs, if that's something that can catch up to you, certainly against an efficient scoring Texas team? You
do. You definitely do. And we've applied it on the Wager Talk morning show to a few teams. BYU out of the Big 12, for instance, guys, they play basically 5 guys. They don't depend much on the bench. And it does matter who you've played so far this season to kind of gauge what the fatigue factor, how tired the legs might be. BYU, again, they won the other night, but barely won. They had to come from behind to do so. I think that's a tired team at this point in the season. So definitely, Brendan, you do consider that. I think Mizzou, where their rotation is concerned, I would look for it next week rather than during the Texas game here. I think they'll be fine at home. Home venue can always generate a little extra from what you actually have in the tank. So they should be good to go here. It's a difficult matchup for both sides, not just one. I guess that's why we're priced at 1.5 here. And we'll see which way money goes with this one and if we can get to a play on this one. If not, I sit back and, throw my Mizzou gear on and root for the home team.
There we go. Rob Veno of WagerTalk.com here on the Big Show, KTGR, and the KTGR app. To some other games this weekend, a lot of eyeballs, obviously, on Kentucky and Florida, top two teams in the standings in the SEC. Maybe a little bit surprising that Florida is still an 11.5-point favorite in that type of setting. I know technically they've played as the better team, Kentucky on the road having to go to a tough place to play. But is that surprising to you? And does that mean there's value on the Kentucky side at all?
Well, it doesn't surprise me in terms of power ratings, where those numbers are and where this line is. It's probably really accurate. It could surprise people because it's Florida, Kentucky, and 11.5 sounds large. The Florida, I think they're 9-1 against the spread, their last 10 games now, but this streak that they're on, really, guys, credited to the guards here. I think any of us to start the season, you guys follow the SEC, you could make the legitimate argument that Florida had the best front court in the nation coming back. Maybe it's second or third, but we're nitpicking. It was all about the guards. Walter Clayton Jr. is gone, and we know how many plays he made for them last year. Would these two transfer guards be able to carry Florida? Boogie Fland from Arkansas and Xavier Lee coming from Princeton, Ivy League, here to the SEC. They didn't play well to start the year. Florida wasn't great. They're playing well now. And they don't have to be world beaters to get the job done for Florida. It's just got to be decent, steady play. And that's what they've gotten. So they are a top, they're an elite team. They're a Final Four caliber team. Kentucky, I don't think is. Mark Pope has complained all season long about this team being a little bit selfish, not playing team-oriented. They're playing better now. They've certainly got talent. But I don't know that their record is indicative, their SEC record is indicative of them really being the second best team in this conference. So sometimes you're a product of your schedule, your opposition. Sometimes you're a product of just being good. I think Florida ranks on the good side. 11.5 is a lot of points, but Florida's shown the ability to get to 90 now. And tell you what, they've blown some people out along the way. So we'll see how that one goes. Kentucky, if I had to say right now, guys, I would probably take over in that game as well. And Kentucky's got an ability to score, but tough stopping people from them.
Game's frankly not that interesting. You're just talking about two teams that couldn't beat Mizzou. So it just is what it is when it comes to those guys. Here's a team that could unfortunately beat Mizzou this year. Kansas obviously got the better of the Tigers. They've got an interesting one on the road at Iowa State. They're a underdog by a handful of points, give or take. They've been playing really well, though. I'm curious for you how you look at this one. Obviously, Darren Peterson's status seems to be a not even weekly, but every time they play is a question of what's he up to. How do you view that in the context of handicapping this one?
It's so funny, guys. This is the third show I've been on today outside of Wager Talk with different hosts in different cities. And all of you, to a T, have said the same thing, really, about Darren Peterson. Like, what's up with this guy, right? Is he going to play? Does he ever play? Is he saving himself for the NBA? I've heard a lot of stuff today. And a lot of it, rightfully so, gets scratched like 7 minutes before the game started the other night against Arizona, and KU still pulled it off somehow. But they're in a tough way here, I would think, because Iowa State lost middle of the week. Had to be looking ahead, go to Fort Worth, lose straight up to TCU. Good for Jamie Dixon and his crew. They needed that win, but it's not a good loss for Iowa State. And as good as Kansas is playing, and as much as Allen Fieldhouse helped them against Arizona in the comeback and then the subsequent win, Hilton Coliseum can do that for Iowa State too. And Iowa State might just be better if Peterson doesn't go. I think it's a tough – in college basketball at this time of year, you hear us in this business refer to an awful lot of games as spot plays. And the situation, the spot just kind of sets up for Iowa State. I don't like the fact that I see some places right now as I look, betting this thing up to 7, 6.5, 7. Odds makers aren't dumb. They started it high for a reason, and they may be anticipating Peterson not going here. We'll see.
Rob Veno of WagerTalk.com here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. And the team that just took that first loss of the year to Kansas, Arizona. Well, does that mean that the next team sitting in their way, Texas Tech, is kind of a sitting duck? Because Texas Tech isn't that bad of a team themselves, but there's 9.5 points on their side that you can take. I wonder how you look at that, Robbie.
Yeah, and folks take a couple of different approaches here, Andy. Some people say don't let the same game beat you twice. In other words, for Arizona, don't let that Kansas loss get to you and beat you again here against Texas Tech, who, as you just mentioned, is very formidable. And the other side of the fence sometimes will say, somebody's got to pay for that loss, and maybe Texas Tech is wrong place, wrong time. It's interesting to me how great Arizona's been. And Arizona, the tough part of their Big 12 schedule is coming. They haven't really played the toughest part yet. Kansas kind of started off this 5-game stretch where they're going to see a lot of top 15 teams as opposition. But it's interesting to me that they've done all this with 4 freshmen in that 8-man rotation. They've been so good and so unfazed by Veno. However, Texas Tech played Houston twice. I mean, Texas Tech is no stranger to top-notch competition, especially in this game where Arizona is a premier rebounding team, which is what Kelvin Sampson's team is. And Tech was able to hang in with Houston twice. So they definitely, with JT Toppin, there's times when he's the best player on the floor. We'll see if he's the best player on the floor here again. They've got good guards that can shoot from 3-point range. I would be tempted to take 9.5 with Texas Tech here just because it seems we're going to learn a little bit about Arizona here during this really rugged conference stretch. And that first loss to Kansas, maybe it does affect them here, and they're not good enough to win by 9.5. We'll see.
Robbie, what free pick do you like this weekend?
You know what? Fridays belong to the mid and low majors. So why not go low college basketball? And there's some good stuff on TV, right? Miami of Ohio goes for their 24th or 25th straight win, undefeated. But I'm going to go to the Ivy League guys here tonight. Fran McCaffrey, ex-head coach of Iowa, now the head coach at Penn inside the Ivy League. They played Columbia, for the second time this season. Scored 67 against Columbia the first time and shot miserably. Penn is the best three-point shooting team in the Ivy. Columbia is the absolute worst defense in the Ivy. Scored 67 the first time. I saw this team total of 74.5. I thought to myself, now you're home. You shoot it a little better at home. 8 points from what you scored the first time. I think it's very doable. So I have Penn in the Ivy League tonight, team total over 74.5 against Columbia.
I love that so much.
Drag it down with me. Down to the low majors with me.
Find wherever Fran McCaffrey is and it's like
and bet the over, right?
And bet the over. Oh man, love that so much. Free pick of the week from Rob Veno, wagertalk.com, sports from a Vegas perspective, on Twitter at Rob Veno Sports, and go to wagertalk.com to see all of his great stuff. Thanks for coming on, Robbie. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk soon.
Always a pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me. Have a good weekend.
You too. It is 4:44 here on the Big Show, KTGR. That's just awesome. Like, nowhere else can you get that stuff.
You could tell from the beginning he was like, I'm going to have something for him.
Oh, he was cooking.
He said from the start, yeah, Fridays is more about the low majors, low conference.
Like,
don't forget. And then at the end, he gave us a juicy one.
I was
so
like, let's go.
I like it. Let's see some points there.
That's Robbie at his best. All right, Under the Bus is coming up next. Joe Judge went there. He
really went there.
Really.
Boy, did he ever.
Really went there. That's next.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Tomorrow, Mizzou men's basketball tries for its 4th consecutive victory. Tigers host the Texas Longhorns. Both Mizzou and Texas are included in Joe Lunardi's last 4 teams in his latest ESPN bracketology update. Mizzou and Texas will tip off tomorrow at 7:30. Coverage begins at 7 o'clock right here on KTGR. Mizzou women's basketball was not a happy return for Kelly Harper to her former team and alma mater. Number 22 Tennessee defeated Mizzou 98-53. Mizzou drops to 4-8 in SEC play. Their next game will be next Thursday night as they host the Auburn Tigers. Mizzou baseball's season is beginning in about 15 minutes. Tigers are playing a neutral site series in Fort Myers, Florida against Mount St. Mary's. Coverage is beginning right now on the KTGR app. Mizzou softball earlier today lost 13-7 to NC State. They're about to take on UCLA in the Shriners Children's Clearwater Invitational tonight. ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is with Advanced Tree Solutions. Give your trees the care they deserve with Advanced Tree Solutions, your tree's best friend.
I'm tracking widespread showers for Valentine's Day with rain from the morning to evening tomorrow, around 1/2 inch of rain along and north of I-70. Rain totals above an inch south of the interstate. Will already be sunnier and warmer again by the end of the weekend, back in the 60s on Sunday, and we'll see several days near the 70s, possibly near record highs next week. I'm meteorologist Nate Splater, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Midway Electric presents the high school sports power play of the week.
Rooks trying to lob it over to Putnam, who banks it in over Deacons at the buzzer at the end of the third. What a job by Rooks to find Putnam, who rose up, knew he just needed to tip it in, and he got the bank shot to fall.
That's the power play of the week with Midway Electric, powered by people with pride. MidwayElectricInc.com.
Stop scrolling, start saving. Hit shopmidmo.com for the deal of the week. Every Friday through Sunday, grab hot gift card deals from local businesses. It's local, it's limited, it's live now. Time to start saving. A gift card to Respiro Spa makes a great Valentine's gift. Look better, feel better, be better at Respiro Spa, 3702 West Truman Boulevard, Suite 123 in Jeff City. Hurry while supplies last. Get your deal of the week now.
ShopMidmo.com. ShopMidmo.com.
Step into a real-life snow globe with Zimmer Communications and Colette Travel on this 9-day European vacation. Stroll Prague, Dresden, Vienna, and Budapest. From castles and cathedrals to twinkling market stalls. Sip warm Glühwein, shop handcrafted gifts, and even visit a family-run candy workshop. Learn more by joining us in Colette Travel Tuesday, March 17th at 5:30. At Courtyard Marriott Columbia on Lamone Industrial Boulevard. RSVP today at ZimmerCommunications.com.
Life has many sweet sounds, whether it's being enchanted by the coo of a baby, enthralled by the refrain of a favorite song, or even enlightened by a celebration. Hearing connects, informs, and engages us with the world. At Hearing Aid Consultants, helping people hear better is our passion. Set your hearing baseline now so you don't miss the sweet sounds of life.
Hearing Aid Consultants in Allmake Repair Lab. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow. HearingAidConsultants.com.
Leland, why do you have this dusty old chain on your dresser? You never even wear it. Well, I might wear it again, Rainey, someday. You need to take it into Bet's Jewelers Trade-In Days. True. Necklace dust got me. When is Trade-In Days? February 10th through 14th. Let's go together. Can trade your Valentine for me. But if I trade it, my new jewelry might be free? Yep. Happy Valentine's Day, bro. Bet's Jewelers Trade-In Days, February 10th through 14th.
Beautiful moments begin at Bet's. Begin at Bet's.
And now the doggy dedication with Kretsch's Custom Exteriors. This week's letter comes from Coco in Colombia. Coco writes, "Dear Kretsch's, my human's been whizzing off his new deck nonstop. I've never seen him so happy. But while he's making salty lemon snow cones, I don't have a place to pee of my own. If I had a wood fence to whiz on, I could unleash my freedom stream from a three-legged lean. Well, Coco, Kretsch's Custom Exteriors can build you that fence to splatter your bladder. Kretsch's Custom Exteriors. True beauty is on the outside."
Hi, we're Midway Electric. Late winter is the smart time to take a look at your electrical system before spring projects and new power demands put extra strain on it. If your panel is outdated, breakers trip often, or you're planning major upgrades, now is the time to make sure your system is ready. From panel upgrades and repairs to efficient lighting and future-ready electrical solutions, Midway Electric helps keep homes and businesses safe, reliable, and prepared for what's next. Midway Electric, powered by people with pride. MidwayElectricInc.com.
It was 1 p.m. on a Monday when the phone rang. Brian Ware Plumbing and Restoration answered the call. It was a panicked family with a mouse problem. Well, a mouse/plumbing problem. Their toilet was more backed up than the connector at 63 and I-70. But Brian's team eventually plucked out the problem. It was a mouse, but like the computer kind, which the family then asked if they could keep afterwards. We didn't ask why. Better call Brian and unplug your plumbing problems. BrianWarePlumbing.com.
They can't shoot it straight on the golf course, but they can shoot straight on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Back to Andy and Brendan on The Big Show on KTGR.
Look, Joe Judge, at least he told the truth, right? He's under oath. But like, Yeah, the truth
that.
was not, I think, what anybody needed to hear. And I don't think it is necessary. It's what he thinks. I don't think it's what we should all think. When he said that, look, for football players, they got to only think about football, and that means getting great sleep. And
I'm wondering if Joe Judge might be onto something here.
Oh, man.
Andy, so what he said was that they had to educate the partners, the wives, girlfriends that may have been pregnant of their players. They had to educate those ladies about the idea that dad's not going to be able to do the midnight feeding. All right. Dad's got to be getting his sleep and focus on football. That was what Joe Judge was putting out there in the testimony. What was this even? Was this the Chambliss?
This was the Chambliss hearing.
Case?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. He's an expert testimony on sleep quality for the players, I guess. So
yeah,
he's
sleep
putting
doctor.
that out there and is just letting it be known that he said we had to educate some of the partners about that, which just sounds like a total cop out. Like, but if you're the like, I'm thinking about maybe Andy, could we get a sleep expert to talk to my wife about the idea that to do really good radio, the midnight feedings are going to have to stop. All right. It's for the professional benefit of, we just have to consider.
Right.
That's what's so funny to this is like, I wonder how those ladies took that. Like, who are you to tell me?
Yeah.
Once coach leaves, I'm going to really show you what I think.
Right.
Like, that is hysterical to me. But Joe Judge would have been the very first coach on the list if I had to guess that you could have said, hey, there's a coach that's going to make this claim under oath. I'll be like, oh, Joe Judge is probably on that list. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Oh, what a goober.
What that for sure. And I put it solely on him. Like, the judge didn't ask the question of like, what do players do when their wives or girlfriends get pregnant? No, that wasn't a question asked. That was a tangential type deal that was offered up by Joe Judge.
Sir, this
Joe
is a Wendy's
Judge,
drive-thru.
not the actual judge. Joe Judge.
That judge was probably not impressed. I don't know.
Yeah.
I saw Lane Kiffin even tweeted with like the facepalm emoji.
Yeah.
Responding to Joe Judge. Funny stuff.
Oh, boy. Anyway, also under the bus to the NFL. They won their grievance against the NFLPA. It looks like now there won't be those NFLPA report cards anymore, or at least we're not going to see them. If they're still happening. It's exactly what the NFL wants. They don't want anybody to tell you that they're treating their players bad and that the players hate the facilities and aren't getting what they need, that the owners hate them or things like that. No, they don't want you to know that.
I saw Woody Johnson was one of the ones that got an F on the previous one and was like Jets owner responsible for, kind of pushing this to be covered up. Yeah, less transparency is what we really need. Less ability to hold ownership accountable for their shortcomings is really what we need. Yeah, that's a unfortunate loss for the players union, and the league just continues to kind of run the day, seal the deal there. I hated to see that because I like those report cards, because we should get to clown the owners that are not taking care of their players and putting them in good positions to succeed.
No doubt. And I think JJ Watt put it best. Like, okay, so the NFL is allowed to use a third party to flash up grades for each player during the broadcast. You can throw up their PFF grades and everything like that. Oh, but we can't grade the owner. That's too far. Yeah. Complete hypocrisy there. Well, it's officially Diamond Sports season. It's been that for a week, but now in really full swing with both Mizzou Diamond Sports teams in action now. Mizzou baseball getting a few minutes away from their first pitch of the season in Fort Myers, Florida, taking on Mount St. Mary's. You can flip over to the KTGR app and hear that right now if you would like. And Mizzou softball is taking on a tough UCLA team. It's been rough start for Mizzou softball right now, but we'll see if they can turn things around in their next few games in Clearwater. But it's here, and it is feeling warmer outside, so it feels a little more like
that. This is I'm not going to celebrate too early because this is like always the false warm that we get in February, and then March is just bitterly cold. But I'm going to take it while we've got it for sure, and it does. It's starting to feel like baseball and softball season out there.
Yeah, so going to be looking forward to that, see what both teams can do very early on in their seasons. Again, KTGR app, you can flip on over if you want to hear Mizzou baseball as they start very soon. That's where you can hear every single game this year. Also, up next, we talk about that dreaded 24-team college football playoff model that the Big Ten really wants. And now they want to tell you about what it would look like. It's going to take away conference championship games. How would we feel about that? We'll discuss it at 5:05. We'll put together an SEC Hoops rooting guide for this weekend as well at 5:25 and our picks of the week at 5:45 on The Big Show.
Hi, I'm Sarah Sticklin-McDonald.
And I'm Charlie Sticklin with the Sticklin & Sticklin Law Firm.
And I'm Mizzou Softball's Natalie Touche. At Sticklin & Sticklin, all we do is personal injury.
We've earned millions for our clients since 1991.
On the diamond, I trust my team. Off the diamond, I trust Sticklin & Sticklin. Don't let the insurance companies strike you out. Let Sticklin & Sticklin go to bat for you. Sticklin & Sticklin, it's a home run.
Paradise doesn't have to be far away. Sometimes it's a quiet walk through a state park. Sometimes it's your favorite takeout and a night in. At Shangri-La, we believe that cannabis belongs in those everyday moments, not as an escape, but as part of living well. That's why we offer 20% off select category every day, plus 20% off store-wide every Sunday. Thoughtful products, honest guidance, real value. Shangri-La, discover paradise. Learn more at ShangriLaDispensaries.com.
KTGR and MU Healthcare Sports Medicine are highlighting a local athlete each week. It's the KTGR Athlete Spotlight.
This week features Father Tolton senior wrestler Christopher Ankinman, who earned his 100th win by fall in his career at the Blue Springs South Tournament. Christopher won the 126-pound title at the tournament with 5 wins, all by fall.
That's the KTGR Athlete Spotlight, thanks to MU Healthcare Sports Medicine, providing everything athletes need to be and stay at their best, because they're competitors too.
Your foresight is so good, you can practically see into the future. But fortune telling isn't the career path you want to take. Instead of predicting people's futures, you can help build them at Fuse 32. Because you recognize things before they can even become problems. You love the thrill of success and getting paid for it. All that's left to do now is look into that crystal ball and see yourself on the sales team at Fuse 32. There's nothing we can't do. Apply now at Fuse32.com.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, Mid-Missouri's total sports station. KTGR.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Ed Bankin. It is All-Star Weekend in the NBA as many of the league's top players are gathering in Los Angeles. Chris Paul will not be there, and he will not be back with the NBA this season. Or for good. He has decided to retire from basketball after 21 seasons, making the announcement on social media. Paul is a 12-time All-Star and 2-time Olympic gold medalist. LeBron James is on the All-Star roster. Lakers coach J.J. Redick loves to see the passion that still remains in the star player.
I don't take for granted how good he is. I recognize that on a daily basis. I think it goes back to what I've said on numerous occasions. The more remarkable thing is how much he cares in his 23rd year.
We'll have coverage of the Young Stars, Rising Stars game tonight at 9 Eastern on ESPN Radio, followed by NBA All-Star Saturday night tomorrow and the All-Star games on Sunday. The Cardinals have announced they'll be keeping defensive coordinator Nick Rallis. Meanwhile, a federal judge has ruled the discrimination suit against the NFL by Brian Flores, led by Brian Flores, can proceed to open court. On the Olympics, the U.S. beat Italy in women's hockey quarterfinals 6-0.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance can protect your small business with over 30 coverage options, an easy-to-use mobile app, personalized discounts, and more. Get a quote in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
From Faro. 15 to the 10, to the house. Bush.
Back to the wall, and it's got her.
And Arrowhead. to your speakers.
This is the big show, baby.
Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brendan on KTGR.
Oh, the Big Ten just has to keep getting its grimy paws involved in trying to change the future of college football. They think they're the arbiters of the thing. So they've got a new model that they're backing for the CFP overhaul that has been revealed. Somehow it leaked out. I wonder how. 24 teams. It would nuke the conference championship weekend, which frankly, that part is, maybe that's a long time coming anyway, since some of those games, as much as they were fun to see pitted against one another, the top teams, they didn't really have any impact on the playoffs other than just some minor seeding differences. So we'll talk about the model and see if we can't come to a resolution. I'm sure eventually college football will, but maybe not anytime soon. 525, I think this is appropriate. We can do our SEC rooting guide, and we can do it for college basketball because you know what? Mizzou is, according to Joe Lunardi, on the right side of the bubble now. And so, yeah, I think we can start to care about what other teams are doing relative to Missouri, maybe just unrelated to the Tigers, what you want to happen in the SEC on a big college basketball Saturday. And we'll give you our picks of the week before we get out of here on a Friday. 573-875-5847. Want to make sure I give you the right phone number to call or text. You can do that, but first, it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the Top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
Big one tomorrow night. It's sold out at Mizzou Arena, and I can tell you how much it I mean to the fans for Mizzou men's basketball to get a win against Texas, which would be their 4th straight win in conference, 5th in their last 6 games, and puts them at 8-4. And I think probably firmly into top 4 territory. We'll see how the other results go, but very clearly you can start to think about that more if you're Mizzou and you get to 8-4 with the role that you're on. You lose it, you're not out of it, but you still will need to do a whole lot more work to stay on the right side of the bubble. You might fall off into the first 4 teams out once again if you lose it. Doesn't mean your season's over, but this one can provide you a little bit extra margin for error later on. Big one for the Tigers tomorrow night against the Texas Longhorns. Tip-off at 7:30 right here on KTGR.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
Now, Kelly Harper's return to Knoxville did not go very well for her current team. Mizzou Women's Hoops took a 35-point loss at number 22 Tennessee. Tough win, Mizzou. Again, still doesn't have Jordana Reisman. They were very clearly undersized in that game. But it's also a reminder of maybe still how far Mizzou Women's Hoops has to go to kind of get closer to where the top tier is. They don't have to get all the way there, obviously, but see if they can maybe have 1 or 2 more opportunities later in the year to pull off an upset. Next chance for the Tigers is next Thursday night against Auburn.
Number 3.
This 24-team model for the CFP released by the Big Ten, or at least the Big Ten's idea, it was released today, would essentially eliminate almost all the auto bids. The only auto bid would go to the group of 6. Then it's just the top 23 teams. It would also get rid of the conference championship games completely. I don't know about this. We'll discuss it here in a few minutes. I don't know if I mind a bunch of teams getting in, but no auto bids maybe is a stretch too far. We'll discuss.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
Mizzou's baseball team is underway now, taking on Mount St. Mary's in their first game of the year. KTGR app is where you can listen. Mizzou softball underway now against UCLA. Tigers trying to dig out of a 2-5 start to their season. And how about Mizzou wrestling yesterday, defeating Oklahoma 23-14. So unofficially, Mizzou is the SEC champion in wrestling. Well, because Mizzou and Oklahoma are the only 2 SEC schools that have wrestling.
Number 5.
What are the 5 fingers? Say to the face.
Here's a name that you'll remember. The Chiefs' new running backs coach for 2026, DeMarco Murray.
That's the Big Show's Top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
875 KTGR if you want to give us a call or a text. I believe he had been coaching running backs at his alma mater of OU most recently, and now gets the jump up to the NFL to coach alongside Eric Bieniemy, who's also been very good with coaching running backs. So he's the new running backs coach for the Chiefs. Very interesting.
It is interesting. What do we think about this?
I like it.
I think it's fine. I think you've got Eric Bieniemy, so I think your run game is going to be just fine. And there are, some rave reviews from Oklahoma players that had played under him that are, probably sad to see him go. But I also do think, like, and maybe this is just the wrong thing to gravitate to, but when they signed Jaden Ott out of the portal, I was like, oh man, they got themselves a good one.
Yeah.
Out of Cal, I think he was previously. He was really productive there, and just never really picked up with OU. I don't know that that's that might just be more about the player than the coach, but that was kind of my whole thing. It was like, I wonder what's going on with that. Why that ever didn't really seem to work out. But Eric Bieniemy is going to be. He will ensure the run game is good with the Chiefs. But yeah, I mean, certainly a name that people know, DeMarco Murray, from his time at OU and in the NFL.
He was a beast. I remember that on the field for the Sooners. It was very frustrating to watch.
Yeah.
So there's that part of it. At least good to see that he's in friendlier territory with the Chiefs. So
yeah,
I like that. So we'll see. Yeah, that need more out of your running backs, whoever they may be. Like it, I honestly, I care a little bit. Maybe get somebody in free agency, but if you want to roll with Brashard Smith, okay, roll with Brashard Smith. If you want to, get another, thing. I'm not saying roll with him as the starter. I'm saying keep him around.
Let him be the 30% in a 70-30 split.
Get him, get more out of him is basically what you need.
Yeah. Yeah, but they didn't really even give him much of a chance. Like, he was the satellite back that would catch a pass or two each game. They were running Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco, and I wouldn't bring either of them back. I would go full slate, fresh start, and I would get two guys if I need to. If I really am not sure if Brashard Smith is of the caliber to be a reliable RB2, I would say that you let Brashard Smith. I'll comp it to the Bills. He can be their Ty Johnson, where he runs the ball sometimes, but he's always involved every game. He's gonna be out there and run some routes and be able to do something with the ball once he gets it in his hands, and he's a good receiver. But you've got your James Cook, and you've got your Ray Davis as well. The Bills did a nice job throughout the season of making sure all their running backs stayed fresh, and using guys appropriately. I think the Chiefs need to find their James Cook and maybe even go out and find your backup bruiser that's maybe not as much of a pass catcher, but you can spell your starter. That's hard to do if you're drafting two guys. I'd love to see him sign a free agent, but not just kind of a throwaway. Like, go get somebody that you think can get the job done, and then draft somebody. If you don't want to shop on the top shelf, Breece Hall, that would be the ideal, because that's your whole running back room if you go and pay for Breece Hall. I actually think, and maybe the price gets out of control, I think it would be interesting to go Tyler Algier, see what he commands out of Atlanta. Always has been a solid player and has done really well with early down work, spelling Bijan Robinson. But you go Tyler Algier, and then you draft somebody that you think can be, a home run hitter, and see if you can't end up with a really productive room. I wouldn't overpay for Algier. I'd rather just trust a rookie, because honestly, when you're talking about 20, 21, 22-year-old running backs, that's their peak. That's their physical peak in this sport. And sometimes I feel like people are a little bit too hesitant to trust a young running back. If they spend draft capital on one, I'd be totally fine with that. But Algier is a name in free agency that interests me if they want to kind of shop on a lower shelf.
We shall see. It's an interesting aspect to the Chiefs offense this year with the additions to the coaching staff and who might be coming back to that room. They need more out of it. Question is, how will they get 875 KTGR? Call or text us here. All right. 2014 college football playoff. Is that
here we go again?
Yeah, here we go again. I mean, it never really went anywhere. The idea has been in the Big Ten's head for a year now, basically, I'm sure. But they're serious about it to the point where they didn't want to expand to 16 unless they got this promise from the SEC. Hey, in 3 years, we're going to this, right? But SEC didn't want to promise that, so we stay at 12. 12 teams next year. It's not changing to 24 at least anytime really soon. But could be in 2029 if this is in fact the deal they strike, if they expand to 16 for a little bit and then go to 24. This could be the way it goes. But curious, Brendan, with the makeup of it. 24 teams, but it's essentially the rankings. Like, no auto bids.
Yeah.
No conference championship games.
Yeah.
Just the top 23 teams and then the top group of 16. And that's it. I don't know how I feel about it, actually.
I do. I'm not gonna say I like it because I don't. I do agree that you've got to figure out something with regard to conference championships. Like, existing as they currently do is kind of phony because we know that the impact, like, it feels like it should be a big weekend. And as a fan, we love watching these games because it's two good teams going at it. But there's not really anything on the line in many cases for these teams. And certainly if you expand the playoff field, there's even less on the line. Like, at least with BYU, like, we're the second team in the Big 12. We might need to win this or we're going to be an afterthought. And that was, of course, the case. They got blown out by Texas Tech. You can pick and choose and find counter examples of the point. But generally, these games don't have as much meaning. And if you expand it to 24, even, like, why would you make either team play that additional game when you're going to be even if you're a top 8 seed, you'd still be playing a round of 16, round of 8, round of 4, round of 2. Like, there's a lot of football being played. So, like, that's one of the solutions if you're expanding the field. That's how you cut out a weekend because you're able to start that playoff a little bit sooner, presumably. I don't mind the lack of auto bids because I think it's actually the logical next step to what the Big Ten had been trying to do and litigate. Well, we should get 5, and they maybe are pretty good, so they get 5 or 6. These guys aren't as good as us historically. They get 2. Like, that was an overcorrection to this idea that, you know, we're trying to hold what's ours.
There shouldn't be any entitlement for any conference to a certain number of bids.
Yeah, even though the way we think it's going to play out would be the SEC and the Big Ten would generally get more. And so I'm okay with laissez-faire because I think most years that's going to work out. I know who won't be okay with it is going to be conferences like the ACC and the Big 12, where, you know, this year the ACC's champion wasn't in the field, but you had Miami, who was the ACC's best team, that worked out okay. So maybe, I guess, if there's no conference championship game and we're not giving an auto bid just because you won a 5-way tiebreaker at 5-3, Duke.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it is okay that those conferences aren't going to, hard to imagine they would be completely left out in the cold. This feels kind of anticlimactic to say, you know, there's no seeding round, there's no championship, there's not even the Eli Drinkwitz, you know, a viewpoint of, hey, let's have some of the teams playing games down the line within these conferences tied to the bids. It's very laissez-faire. It feels a little anticlimactic for me, but maybe a bold reimagination is what we need. 24 is just too many. Like, that's my first problem with it.
Yeah.
All the other stuff, I don't really think I'm that against. I just think the scale is, we've overshot a little bit. What's wrong with 16? 16's good.
12's good.
Okay.
I think 12's pretty good too.
12's not as much money. That's why they don't like it. 12's good because you can bake in the fact that you have an advantage for the top teams still. You get a bye, which maybe that's not an advantage anyway. And so maybe, you know, I still think it is. I think we overreact to, the bye teams haven't done that well in the next round. They're not as, you know, they're rusty. I don't really know.
It's almost like we should let 12 play out a little bit more so we can see.
Find out.
Yeah, like, at least.
But they're not going to do that.
Man.
Would there be a way to do 16 where you bracket it, where it's like,
sure,
you tier it out
like the SEC tournament, like the double bye? Although double bye, maybe you're flirting even more with rust.
It could be really tough.
I mean, that's maybe the tough part of it.
We might just have to suck it up. I frankly think 14 is the best number, just like the NFL has, because
then you could get 2.
You could, if you're elite, you get a bye.
Yeah.
The top two get a bye. How you judge that out? Is it just the SEC and Big Ten champion? That's probably not fair. Just let it be laissez-faire. But that would not be a problem to me. They won't be that creative, though. They're thinking 24. They're not going to be stopping at 14. But that would solve the what do you have to play for some of the top teams. I don't know. I think whatever it ends up being, I'm going to be underwhelmed by. And then 10 years later, I will have gotten used to it. But I'm resistant to the whole 24 of it all. Because that's not even really... That just doesn't really feel like it's very meaningful to make the playoff. And I want the playoff. I want there to be a sport where it is. It's
an
really
accomplishment.
A big deal.
Yeah.
It's an accomplishment. It's a big freaking deal to get in. NCAA tournament is not. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool to get in, but it's not a big freaking deal.
For schools at the level of like Mizzou, like
Power 4, Power 5, it's not like you're not popping champagne because you made it. I want there to be a sport like that, and college football is perfect for it. And at 12, you still get a little bit of that, don't you? At 16, you might even still get that, Andy. You go beyond that, I don't think you'll get that anymore. It won't be the same.
Yeah, because you're just taking the ranking, like everyone who has a number next to their name, and I don't think that should be enough. Like you should have to work for it a little bit more.
Yeah,
and like again, like if Mizzou had made it in any of the last couple of years, even though there were past years where they finished either 5th or 4th or like right outside of playing for a BCS national championship and being in the top 2.
Yeah.
Like if they had made the playoff this past couple of years in a 12-team field, like that's one of their biggest seasons ever, if not the biggest season ever, because then you have access to it. You have a chance to be in the bracket that decides the national champion. Mizzou has never been there. So that would be meaningful enough to make it one of the best, if not the best seasons.
It would be the best season.
Yeah.
It would be the most notable. I would still kind of look at 07, but again,
absolutely.
They got scorned by the system and didn't even get a
BCS.
How does Kansas get it? Forget it.
It's so
we're not going to revisit that.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. And you want that as a college football fan, you want to know that something like that's out there. I guess it would still be the case that, okay, we're the 19th seed in a 2014 playoff. I think you're going to get to a point with that many teams. You already have some games that are pretty lopsided. And I get it. Play the games. Don't decide what they're going to be on paper. Like, let them play out. But my friends, there's going to be 8 to 10 teams in a given year that just flat out don't deserve to be playing for a national championship.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Like when you get that deep into it, look, as the SEC homer in me would say, oh, good, because the committee always loves good SEC strength, and the schedules are going to get tougher, and you're going to see 8 and 4 SEC teams ranked in the top 20. I promise you will, with these schedules that these teams are going to be playing. But then if it's like that means playoff, how does that shift the worthiness? I think the SEC would end up benefiting because the down ballot consideration, first of all, the committee would have to care more about those choices, but I think the SEC would come out on top in a lot of those. And yeah, Mizzou would probably make a playoff sooner rather than later if this was the system. I still don't want it. I still feel like let's have it mean something to make the playoff. And you're going to see that round of 16 would be pretty ugly. I think in some of those games that, what if the 24 upsets the 13
9
or whatever, the 9,
yeah,
maybe you could get one of those. Maybe you could get the 20 seed to knock off the 13. But when those teams then go up against the next round, I don't know, maybe it would be a lot of fun and I'm overreacting, but I want it to mean something. And I don't think you should be 8 and 4 playing for a natty. I think at 9 and 3, only the select few, given like a really difficult schedule, are going to have access to that, even at 16. 16's the number for me. I would hate to see, and I don't know a way around it because it sounds like the Big Ten is strong-arming everybody into like, this is going to be our way or the highway. And the SEC's been like, to this point, why would we do that? The money is going to be too substantial eventually for the SEC. And I think they're going to come to a deal. And those two conferences kind of run the table. So eventually, I think something like this will probably happen. But how crazy is it that the Big Ten just keeps throwing stuff at the wall, that like different versions of this exact thing seems like 5 or 6 times a year, and it gets leaked out mysteriously, and everybody has the same reaction to it. No, you're overshooting the mark. 12's pretty good. 16 would be maybe as far as we could. Like, I think most fans agree.
Yeah.
But it's not about the fans.
No, it never is. Never is. Are we really sure that they would get more money from this by eliminating the conference championship games? We sure?
I'm not sure, dude. The corporate money that goes into the SEC game in that beautiful stadium in Atlanta. I mean, the money that goes in to some of these games, surely that's substantial. Finding a way to incentivize and fix that, and maybe do the play-in thing to an extent, which I don't love the auto bid aspect of that. But I would be more in favor of something like that than something like this. The problem with that is, and the one solution that is created by this format is if you just scrap that championship weekend altogether, the path eases up to, man, the season's getting pretty long. Like, that's the concern a lot of people have, is the length of the college football season if you expand.
No doubt.
And that would shave a week off of it. That would be attracted to, I think, coaches and players from that side of the fence.
Please don't go past 16. Like, I've reserved myself to the point where, like, okay, if you're at 16, I get it. It probably lets a few teams in that maybe have a good shot at pulling an upset and making a run. We'll see. But golly, yeah, Big Ten's going to get their way probably. I just think the SEC, like, their conference championship game, I think could be more worth it to them than even other conferences. Because that's an event, man. Like,
it is an event. And I think people, and I think the schools, and like, I get it. It's Georgia, it's Alabama. The more you play of them, it'll probably be Texas that's playing in this game. But it does feel meaningful when an Ole Miss maybe thinks it has a chance to sneak in, or a Texas A&M or a Missouri. Like, I don't know. I think it means a lot in that conference to say we are champions of the SEC. And I don't think you can crown an SEC champion without it, because not everybody's going to play everybody. Like, you will, but it feels appropriate to say, hey,
I agree.
We know there is schedule imbalance in a 16-team league. Let's let the top two claim that. And, like, that should be meaningful to win an SEC championship, but
like,
it's going to go by the wayside.
Like, soccer, European soccer has an excuse for doing it that way, not having a playoff or anything, just naming the top team the champion, because everybody plays everybody twice.
And that's equitable. Like, that's fair. That's
the schedule
legitimate.
Is balanced. If you play the best with that balanced of a schedule, then sure, it's justified to have the top team be named the champion. But with this, like, you could have two undefeated teams. All right, what's the tiebreaker? Essentially it could be the luck of the draw of who was on your schedule, and then it comes down to the winning percentage of those teams. That would be so dumb.
And that's not, we don't like that. We don't like that as sports fans. I don't think we're a fan of that. What do you make, though? We talk about the length of the college football season. The college football season is obviously a lot shorter than the NFL season. Is that just, that's their profession, and we can't, we're comparing apples and oranges, obviously, when it comes to that. But like,
you're talking about length of games, like weeks and such like that.
17 games they're
versus
going to go to
12.
They're going to go to 18 versus 12 and tack on a few for playoffs. Like, NFL has a long playoff because it's 14 teams. Those are grown adults. I get it. But these college football players too, they're kind of in that territory. They're not there for school. I wonder if someday, this is not something I have imagined, and I'll let you rebut if you don't agree. If ever it came to the point of a split where the Big Ten and the SEC just end up being so much more of a dominant force with this sport, and the money is like the Super League. I'm not advocating for it. I never have advocated for it. But if it happened, it would be interesting to see just a everybody play everybody type of season where you get that equitable factor. Like SEC 16 teams, it's a round robin, and that would be,
so you play 15 games.
Yeah, now you have to figure it out because the Big Ten's got more teams than that, so it doesn't really work.
Yeah,
but that would be where it's like, oh, this is that would be like the professionalization of it. Maybe the Big Ten can do its own version of it, and then the playoff it's like AFC NFC, and that would be something. I don't think that's what we need, because I don't think we can't act like Texas Tech isn't worthy of playing the SEC and the Big Ten, not with the kind of money pouring into that program.
Yeah.
I just, you do wonder if there's ever going to be the guardrails and like they carve it out. If they ever admit that, by the way, these kids aren't students, like,
well,
come on,
look,
not at this level. They're not.
I don't think Big Ten and SEC. I would not be in favor of them breaking away. If the Power Four breaks away, like I wouldn't be too upset by that. Like for football only, right? Like
and for football only, and you wouldn't be subsidizing the group of five or the FCS, which would cause problems in those athletic departments, right? Because the money is there because of those subsidies. But then it would be like, okay, now you can almost subsidize. You decide who your 64 teams are or whatever, and they're largely kind of carved out the way the conferences exist now. And then you could say, you get that additional revenue because the TV deal would be such that we're not having to disperse it between the smallers. And then you could maybe have some uniformity. I'm not in favor of that either. I'm just wondering if the reason we're trying to throw all these playoff ideas at the wall and none of them seem quite right is because the system isn't quite right, which we know it's not. But
the system's not right because no one's in charge.
Yeah.
No one person is overseeing this. And
competing interests from those who have power are always going to butt heads and create this imbalance.
And then we go nowhere. And
we go nowhere.
We're stuck with 12. Yeah.
Yep.
So will the Big Ten get their way? Yeah.
Let's stay stuck for a decade.
Love it. I would love it. Please let it play out. Let something play. Just leave something alone. You don't have to change everything. Leave something alone. Big Show's on it. 528 KTGR and the KTGR app. Tell us what you think about that 2014 playoff model the Big Ten wants. Up next, our SEC Hoops Rooting Guide. Get you set for, hey, what could maybe help out Mizzou this weekend? We'll get to that next.
Follow The Big Show on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And keep it here on your total sports station, KTGR.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for Advanced Tree Solutions. Wintertime is when your trees are barren, obviously. No leaves yet. We'll get to that very soon. But you still need to be aware of how your trees are growing during this time, especially if they're hanging over those power lines, right? That can be dangerous. And so now that there aren't leaves on the branches yet, now's a good time to get tree pruning done so that they can be safe once we see that growth back. Eric and his team at Advanced Tree Solutions, they are excellent to work with. They've come to my yard before, taken a tree out that was dead. They're honest, upfront, and trained, and they know exactly how to take care of your trees. Because, look, the power company's not going to know how to do it. Most lawn services, they don't know how to really take care of them. Eric and his team does. Go to advancedtreesolutionsllc.com. You can contact them to book for tree pruning and also look at the other services they have so that you can get ready for springtime at advancedtreesolutionsllc.com. Give your trees the care they deserve with Advanced Tree Solutions.
So, Mr. Fancy Dancy Sports Car Dude, you say you were distracted by a raccoon feasting in the road? Okay. How about the fact that you were going way too fast when there's like 5 inches of snow on the ground? Nice ditch you got there, bro. Now you need a savior, a do-over. Find your phone and just Google I-70 Towing. They're Mid-Missouri's go-to crew for slide-offs. When your winter world seems to have been wrecked, call the team they hope you never have to meet. I70towing.com. A raccoon. Just ridiculous. You're a merchant of all things that are man. Firearms, fishing, cars, food, sports. Yeah, the kind of stuff every man always needs more of. So show it off at the Mecca of Man. The 2026 Como Man Show, Saturday, March 14th at the Northeast Event Center where the Boone County Fair is held. It's the best and most fun way to show every man they need what you got. Seriously, by showing them. Bring your best stuff, show it off, and have a blast. For more info on being a vendor at the Man Show, go to comomanshow.com.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of Main Event Catering. And with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up to 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
This is the year she gets an upgraded diamond, the year that dad finally gets his retirement watch, and the year that your daughter graduates, so you give her the necklace she's always dreamed of. Family Pawn is not your traditional pawn shop, but they are your secret to saving big on stunning jewelry for every occasion. Family Pawn, where you'll find timeless treasures for a fraction of the cost. FamilyPawn.com.
Not your traditional pawn shop. Family Pawn.
Michael Agnew here with API Project Fitness. I understand that life is hard, and if you're soft, it will squish you. You must find a way to be hard. Armor yourself up mentally and physically and emotionally. Our goal is to help you find your inner strength and hardness. The difference between strength and weakness is choice. With our group fitness classes and personal training and open gym, the choice is yours. Choose strength. Find us at apiprojectfitness.com or call us at 573-268-6944 to make an appointment.
Tired of calling Andy and Brendan? So are their wives. Then shoot them a text right now. 573-875-KTGR and become part of the Big Show.
We'll have our picks of the week coming at 5:45. You can text us at 875-KTGR if you want to get picks in for Mizzou, Texas. Tomorrow, coverage starts at 7 o'clock right here on KTGR. If Mizzou wins that one, they're 8-4 in conference play, which means no worse than tied for fourth still, depending on what might happen around them. So as far as what we want to happen around them, what do we think for this? Florida plays Kentucky, two teams near the top of the standings.
Two bums.
I know, right? Lost to Mizzou. Man, who do you want to win that one?
Oh, I mean, I don't think it matters who I want to win. Florida's going to win, but I think that's the right answer too. Florida, give me as many ways to break a tie as I can for more of those slots, right? Because Kentucky's tied for second at 8-3. They're tied with Arkansas, who we play twice. So you want to talk about controlling your destiny. Them taking another L, I think, would be appropriate. And let's be real, Florida had their issues early. They're not dropping into a tie with Mizzou.
No,
they're 9-2. They're not. Like, sure, they'd lose this game and you'd be one away from having the tiebreaker over them, and you'd be probably like one of the only teams that could say that, but it's not realistic.
Again, it's beneficial if they stay at one, because if the tiebreaker, if the head-to-head tiebreaker doesn't break you away in like a 3 or 4-way tie, multiple teams, more than two, then the next one goes to what'd you do against the 1 seed. And if Florida's still the 1 seed,
that's who you want it to be if you're Mizzou.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, yes, I agree. Florida beat Kentucky. I think that, yes. And then
win close, I would say, because Kentucky keep looking still like you're pretty good.
Okay.
But take the L in the standings.
Okay.
If I had to pick it, I would pick it like a 5-point loss.
All right. What about some of these other ones like Arkansas against Auburn?
Yeah. You have the win over Auburn. You play Arkansas twice. Oh, boy. I think I might root for Auburn. Auburn's at risk of not being, I don't know where they are right now in the net, but they that could get itself to quad 1 if it's not currently there.
I don't want Auburn to get hot.
Why?
They've got Mississippi State left. They've got Ole Miss left. They got Oklahoma left, LSU. Like, they could go on a run here, and I don't want them to kind of sniff more of the middle, if not the top in that.
Are they considered a tournament team right now?
I think so. Yeah.
Which is, they're like 14-10, so you're kind of like, really? But
yeah,
obviously good wins and resume, and we get all those things. Mizzou didn't have the non-con to lean on. Auburn did. But I don't know. I would say you could root against them because they could certainly fall out of the field if they're even not if they're close to the bubble right now. They could eventually pick up wins. I mean, you can't be 16-15 and so we're in. Like, eventually they got to win some games. So I hear you about that though, but I still think it reflects well on Missouri, but they're going to play Arkansas twice too, so it doesn't matter.
All right, last one real quick. Two teams that Mizzou is tied with right now, A&M and Vandy, playing each other.
Oh, is there a right answer to this? They're both 7-4.
I don't know, man. It's hard. Maybe Vandy?
Yeah, I think Vandy, because I think A&M is not real, but there's enough winnable games still on their schedule to still be around us. I don't know. I think Mizzou's gonna end up with wins over both these teams, so it doesn't really matter. How do you like that?
Okay. There you go.
I'm feeling too confident about that Vanderbilt game coming up, but if they beat Texas, my confidence, I think, will be warranted because it'll just continue to demonstrate the type of team Missouri really has.
maybe A&M needs this one to kind of show like, okay, no, look, we're still a pretty legit team. Like, let's go and win this one. And then proof of concept makes Mizzou's win a little bit better.
Yeah. And Vandy feels like the team that if you get them kind of rolling into some mud where they're losing too many games in a short stretch, that might kind of get to them a little bit. They're still a really, really good team. I mean, man, they thumped Kentucky a few weeks ago. They've got some big wins. I don't know. I'm gonna relish in whoever loses, because I'm like, oh, that's another way that Mizzou maybe breaks a tie in their favor. So I'm not really hard and fast on either of those.
875-KTGR, give us a call or a text. All those games are available to be picked in Picks of the Week. We'll have those coming up next.
Now, your local Sports Center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Lee'sTireCompany.com. Mizzou takes on Texas in men's hoops tomorrow. Tigers and Longhorns are included in the last 4 teams in, according to ESPN bracketologist Joe Lenardi. Mizzou 8-4 in SEC play. They've won 3 straight. Texas 6-5. They've also won 3 consecutive games. Mizzou 7-4, beg your pardon, at the moment. Tigers and Longhorns tip off at 7:30 tomorrow. Coverage begins at 7 right here on KTGR. Mizzou women's basketball took a hard loss yesterday at number 22 Tennessee, 98-53, and Kelly Harper's return to her former team and alma mater. Mizzou women's hoops 4-8 in SEC play. Their next one is at home against Auburn next Thursday night. Mizzou baseball underway right now. You can turn on the KTGR app and hear them take on Mount St. Mary's in Fort Myers, Florida, as the Tigers baseball team opens up their season. Mizzou softball earlier today lost to NC State. They're underway right now in the Shriners Children's Clearwater Invitational against number 6 UCLA. ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is with Advanced Tree Solutions. Give your trees the care they deserve with Advanced Tree Solutions, your tree's best friend, at AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com.
As we get into the heart of basketball season, 1851 Underground Tap and Grill wants to remind you, whether you need a place to grab a bite after a local high school or college game, or you want to plop down with some friends and watch some of that college conference action on TV, they've got a spot for you. Your favorite cold beer or cocktail and delicious appetizer or dinner options on the menu. Check them out on Facebook or at 1851underground.com. It's no secret that it is underground. 1851 Underground Tap and Grill in the historic Brick District, downtown Fulton.
Columbia has a lot of great neighborhoods, a lot of beautiful neighborhoods, and you can't replace or build new homes there, but they're aging and the homes are getting to an age where they're needing maintenance. And one of the biggest things that we see coming over probably the next decade is need and demand for window replacement. So as your home approaches 15, 17, 20 years old, you're probably going to notice some drafts. You're going to notice some locks that don't quite lock anymore, maybe some condensation in the windows on the inside, outside, or between the panes. There's a variety of things. Or maybe you just drive up to the window and it's got rotten wood or a really faded exterior. But either way, at about that time frame, these windows kind of end their life cycle. And so we want to be prepared to be the ones that you call, when you notice that and you want a solution for it. The difference between a house and a home is the attention to detail. At True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, we'll turn your vision of a dream home into a reality. For more information or a free estimate, go to TrueSunExteriors.com.
TrueSunExteriors.com. 'Tis the season for love. In this month's issue of Inside Columbia Magazine, we've got the Valentine's Day guide for those who are single, already taken, and it's complicated. Meet 2 local business owners who are redefining hospice and elder care. Plus, go behind the scenes and see how this issue came together on our Instagram page at Inside Columbia. This and much more in Inside Columbia Magazine. Get yours at break time convenience stores or subscribe at InsideColumbia.net.
It was 1 p.m. on a Monday when the phone rang. Brian Ware Plumbing and Restoration answered the call. It was a panicked family with a mouse problem. Well, a mouse/plumbing problem. Their toilet was more backed up than the connector at 63 and I-70. But Brian's team eventually plucked out the problem. It was a mouse, but like the computer kind, which the family then asked if they could keep afterwards. We didn't ask why. Better call Brian and unplug your plumbing problems. BrianWarePlumbing.com.
If it's Mizzou sports, it's happening here. Now, back to the big show on KTGR.
We're back here on the big show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Andy, Brendan, and on the KTGR hotline is producer Billy, ready for another edition of the Picks of the Week. And here on out, no more football for the rest of the Picks season. We're entering the home stretch. That's what that means, Brendan. We only have a few weeks left of regular season college basketball. Then it's the postseason. Then it's March Madness, and then it's done. There, we're coming up against it.
Yeah, and I've got a nice little lead still, but not a safe one when it comes to my history picking college basketball. So this will be interesting to get into.
Yeah, 3-2 for Brendan last week. The producers went 3-1-1 in the Super Bowl props. I went 1-4, so I believe I'm back in last place now on the season standings. Brendan's still with a pretty good lead. So in the college basketball, we'll have all the SEC games and a few others sprinkled in, but because the producers had the winning record last week, we will go to the producers for who goes first in this ordering. Billy.
Yeah, I'm going to keep things rolling. I think we're going to go producers first. I'm going to keep the heat on Brendan. I think he's starting to feel it. We're making our Saturday charge, just made the turn, starting to feel it a little bit. I think he thought he had this in the bag, but we may take a Sunday lead. We'll have Brendan go second, and then Andy can go third.
Okay. Well,
we're talking a little bit of smack already. I'm not really sure what to do with that, but okay.
You can say like 7-game lead or something like that.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Look, if I were confident, I mean, he's not totally wrong.
It's
I'm
not smack, Brendan. I'm complimenting you. I'm saying you're in front.
Feels backhanded.
Oh, so he's gassing you up. That's what he's doing.
I think he is, and it's. I'm not going to fall for it because I do recognize that my strength has not necessarily been in college basketball, but I'm going to have to figure it out because we're getting toward the home stretch, but there's enough weeks remaining for me to lose this lead if I don't get it going.
All right, so from the main college basketball games this weekend and all of the SEC that is involved, including one tonight. Not for SEC, but one on the sheet that is for tonight in the Big Ten. Where will you go first, producers? You decided that you're going to go first, so go ahead and go first.
We're going to go Natural State, Bud Walton Arena. Tough night for Arkansas at Auburn. I think they're going to be eager to get back on the right side of things. They looked really good this weekend against LSU. I like Arkansas to roll against Stephen Pearl and company. I think Arkansas covers.
That game wasn't that long ago, was it? Or was it a few weeks ago? I'm trying to remember.
It was middle of January, so yeah, a couple weeks now.
So you're taking Arkansas minus 6.5 against Auburn.
That's correct.
All right.
Okay. Nice pick. Auburn has not looked as strong recently. I'm going to go for the number that's one of the bigger ones on the board. And look, the right team's obviously favored, but Kentucky's played better recently. They're getting 11.5 at Florida. I'll take the Wildcats. That just seems like a huge number in a game that, Florida could handle its business, win by 10, and I could still win the pick. So Kentucky plus 11.5 is where I will begin.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Florida has beaten down some teams, though. We'll see where I decide to go on that. I am going to take one of the teams tonight. We have on the sheet Michigan State at Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a 2.5-point underdog. I know they can play this team tough. Always a tough place to go and play for any opposing group. Michigan State, I think, has a very clear talent edge here, though. So I'm going to lay only 2.5 on the road against Wisconsin with Sparty tonight and see if I can get off on the right foot for the weekend in picks. Producers.
Kind of building on the theme of rematch where things really didn't go well for the team on the road. They're back at home. I like Iowa State to cover against Kansas. I know Kansas has looked good recently, but I think this is one Iowa State eager to get that bad taste out of their mouth from that loss against TCU. I think the Cyclones roll at Hilton.
Interesting.
That's a -6 number for Iowa State. It's not a habit of mine to pick Kansas, but I kind of am tempted by the underdog there just to keep it close with the way that Kansas has been playing recently. But I'm not going to go immediately to a fade. I'm going to echo some sentiment, Andy, that I had earlier this week on the show. I have said I think Oklahoma is going to beat Georgia outright. I said that before seeing a point spread, and the Sooners are hosting. They're +1. So if they lose on a buzzer beater by a point, maybe I push. But I'll take the Sooners. I think they're going to beat Georgia outright.
That's also the only KenPom line that's on the sheet. We actually, at the moment, we don't have a number for it. But I think you might even be getting some extra value with that, Brendan, because they might open it as like -1.5 for Oklahoma. Who knows?
It's possible. Yeah. I just think, but I do think the Sooners win it. And so the fact that I'm not laying any points, I'm happy to go with that one on the KenPom line.
Doing our picks of the week here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Before anybody else takes it, I'll go ahead and take Mizzou -1.5. I do think they win this game. I do think they'll close it out towards the end of what might be kind of a tight one in the final few minutes. But that's sometimes what you got to do in these college basketball games. Mizzou's had to do it a few times and actually held their own pretty well, which I think is a promising sign for the weeks to come. Give me Mizzou this weekend against Texas -1.5. Producer.
We'll go out to the West Coast. I don't love the way Mark Pugh's team has come together this year. Santa Clara's looked good, and I know they're going to be up for this one. So I like the heirs of Steve Nash and company to get the job done and cover against Gonzaga.
Man, Santa Clara +3.5 at home against Gonzaga.
That's a small number to see against Gonzaga for a team that's not St. Mary's, but Santa Clara's got a good team this year, and that's a home game that I do see Billy's point that they're going to be rowdy and ready for that game. All right, I got my 2 picks that I felt pretty good about, and now I'm having to search. I'm not going to do any fading of Mizzou. I feel like my pick of Mizzou to win is a heart pick. I am fearful of the game if Texas brings its A game, but obviously hoping the Tigers prevail, so I'll stay away from that. I might just do the fade of Billy's Iowa State pick. I'll go Kansas +6. It makes me feel kind of icky, but I just think it's a good line, so I'm going to take it.
Better hope Darren Peterson plays or something like that.
Yeah, whatever. They can keep it close, I think, regardless of his status. But look, this is one of those picks where if I do lose the pick, I'm smiling about something when that game's going on, you know?
All right. I might take a similar approach to what Brendan took with his first pick and take Texas Tech on the road against Arizona. Tech is 9.5-point underdogs. I know Arizona's probably the best team in the country, but Tech is no pushover either. They are awesome as well. It's just like the top of the Big 12 is very, very strong, and this, again, is a meeting between two of those units. So I don't think Texas Tech wins, but they can keep it within a single-digit deficit towards the end. So give me Texas Tech plus 9.5. Producers.
I really like the way this Kentucky team has come together. I mean, early on, it was after that Missouri game was pretty desolate. Not all the talent in the world, but they are scrappy. I don't think they win in Gainesville, but I do think they're able to cover. Part of that might be a late push in the second half. Oh,
gotta stop you. That was my first selection of the day, so gotta find something else, pal.
My bad. I'll watch you there for a minute.
That's okay.
Whoa.
We'll go
I'm glad
to
you approved,
Mississippi.
Yeah, he's on your side.
He
Brett.
likes my pick there.
Yeah, you had at least one.
We'll go to Mississippi. Both teams have struggled this year. I think Ole Miss might win, but I do think State covers at the very least. So I'll take the Bulldog side of the basketball egg bowl.
Ooh, man, why am I tempted to fade Billy again?
Ooh.
Boy, it's only 4.5. That's the reason. At home, 4.5 for Ole Miss. I don't think highly of them, Andy. We just did this week where we had to capitulate and say, yeah, basically Ole Miss is in that tier with all the other bottom feeders of the league right now, which could reflect a close game there. But I don't know. I'm not going to go to it just yet. I'm going to let that one simmer for a moment. And I've been knocking this one around in my head since I looked at the sheet. Vanderbilt minus 6.5 at home against the Texas A&M team that Missouri just beat. Vanderbilt, obviously, what sticks in the mind recently is the loss at home to Oklahoma, but they did then rebound and have a pretty good road win by 8 points on Tuesday this week against Auburn at Auburn. So I feel like if I look at Vanderbilt and say I'm more inclined to fade Texas A&M, which has been a stance of mine all year. I don't love this number. This is the first one that I had to kind of dig deep for, but Vandy minus 6.5 at home. Looking for a similar outcome to the way that they handled Auburn this week, and I'll be okay.
That's probably right. I was kind of looking at that one. Wasn't sure about
too big of a number.
It's a tough number. That can always backdoor you. That is prime territory for it.
Looking for free throws.
Yeah.
Give me the free throw territory and ice it.
That's what you need. I will fade the producers. I do think Ole Miss wins by at least 5. I think they're the better team. I don't know if they're a tournament team. Probably not. Mississippi State needs to get hot from the outside, and I just don't see that happening on the road in this environment in this type of game. It'll probably happen for them the next time they play each other. If this is the first time in the game in Starkville, hasn't happened yet, not sure. But either way, Ole Miss, I think stronger team. They'll win by at least 5. So I'll lay 4.5 with Ole Miss. Final round of our picks of the week here on the Big Show, KTGR. Producers.
I like Duke to cover that 12.5-point spread. I think the teams that are not, at the top of the ACC, I think with Duke smells blood in the water. They've been vicious this year. I like Brad Marnell. I just don't think this Clemson team is all that good, and I think Duke's going to put it on them on Saturday. So give me the Blue Devils to cover.
At home against Clemson, minus 12.5. Yeah, you're just looking for the blowout in that one. All right, I got one pick left. Alabama's hosting South Carolina. That's a big number. Tennessee hosting LSU. That is a big number. I'm tempted with the Alabama one just because I don't think South Carolina is on the level to where they're really going to be able to keep this thing remotely close. The number is 16.5. Alabama recently, though, their last game was a road win at Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is a better team than South Carolina, and Alabama won that game by 19. It's hard to just play the transitive property when you're in the SEC. But South Carolina has taken some losses, and they've taken it by margin. Mizzou just beating them by 19. I'm going to say at home, Alabama can win it by 20+. It's the biggest number on the board, but I'm going to lay it anyway. Give you the Tide minus 16.5, my final pick of the week.
I'm taking the other one. I'm taking Tennessee -12.
Okay. I thought you were going to say South Carolina.
No, not that other one. The other one that you were considering, the other big number. It's more of a fate of LSU than anything else. Like, I really just don't trust that team to stay on the road against the team like Tennessee.
They just lost by 29 at home to Arkansas, too. So it's
and Tennessee's been blowing some people out. I think Tennessee handles business pretty well. -12 for Tennessee against LSU is my final pick, and that's how we close out picks of the week this week as we traverse into the deep end of college basketball now for the final 8-ish weeks of our picks of the week this season. And we'll see how sweaty Brendan gets during that.
Getting a little sweaty, even just picking the games. I'm feeling sweaty.
Billy, thanks for joining us from the KTGR hotline. Stay safe this weekend. We'll talk soon, buddy.
Thanks, gentlemen.
And that does it for our picks of the week here on the Big Show KTGR. Also, thanks to Rob Veno of WagerTalk.com for joining us earlier. You can turn on the KTGR app right now to hear coverage of Mizzou baseball's season opener against Mount St. Mary's. If you're on the KTGR app, just click on the live stream button, switch it over, and you'll be able to hear the game. And you can tune in a little later tonight around 7:15, high school basketball coverage. Hickman and Father Tolton boys hoops tonight, Columbia matchup. Be sure to join us for that again at around 7:15 on KTGR. Thanks for joining us today. He's Brendan. He's producer Billy. I'm Andy. We're done for now.
Hy-Vee invites you to the second annual Sip and Savor event, benefiting